Prior to the start of our meeting this evening, we got a couple of three groups that we want to recognize for some really outstanding things. And the first group I'd like to have come up, like right now, is our group from Grandview University. Could you guys come on up? As they come up, I've got to tell you, they have done some things that are unbelievable over the last 8 years. And Mr. President, would you like to step up and kind of make a couple of remarks, and then I've got a kind of a little special certificate of recognition.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Mayor County. Thank you, members of the City Council. We're pleased to be here.
We got to get them all a little bit.
Yeah, get them all in here. Get them all around here. Yeah, they're kind of making me feel better. So this is the 8th year in a row, 8th consecutive year that Grandview's wrestling team has won the NAI National Championship. And after 8 times, it seems sort of almost automatic. But I have to tell you, each year it's a different group of wrestlers that goes to that national tournament. And each year they start from scratch. There is nobody that just sort of steps aside and lets this team win. So even though we're getting used to coming here, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for bringing us year after year, I need to point out that these gentlemen behind me and their teammates put in an awful lot of work. And I'd like to just very briefly turn this over to our coach, Nick Mitchell, who's really led this effort over the entire time that we've had the program. 11 seasons, 8 national championships, 8 duals national championships. So Coach Mitchell has built one heck of a program and a dynasty in wrestling. So there is another higher educational institution in town. Their colors are blue. They like to claim to be Des Moines' hometown team. I'd like to say the team that wears red is Des Moines' championship team. And here is our coach.
It's easy to work for a guy that's competitive like that, so I can relate a little bit to it. So yeah, we like to win at Grandview, and we're not afraid to admit it. So no, I just wanted to say thanks again for having us back. We really do appreciate it. We had our wrestling banquet this past weekend, and one thing we talked about is just not taking this for granted. You know, just because you win 8 years in a row, sometimes people think it becomes automatic. They think it's easy. Sometimes it looks easy at the national tournament, but the work that these guys put in is definitely not easy. And it really is an honor for us just to not only represent Grandview, but we really enjoy representing Des Moines. I grew up in this area, so I love having an opportunity to represent Des Moines. And anybody who knows our program knows that we really talk a lot about living a championship lifestyle. And our goal on that is just not just to win titles, but really to find out how good these guys can be in every area of their life. And hopefully that means that in the process of finding out how good they can be each year, they get an opportunity to make a difference at Grandview, here in Des Moines, the state of Iowa, and then some of these guys that are from out of state go back and make a difference in their communities and the states that they come from. So it is kind of a bigger picture thing overall. So again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and everybody else, the council. I really appreciate it. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be back here next year. We'll see.
And while he's not standing up here with us, I want to thank Rob Barron. He has helped the president and me keep our agendas straight so we know what we're doing. So Rob, thank you for the work that you have done. He spent a little time working for a representative that spent a lot of time in Washington, and now he's doing a lot of good stuff on the ground here in Des Moines. So thank you for what you're doing too, Rob. Any rate, let me read something that I think is really special. We have a certificate of special recognition presented to the Grandview University wrestling team. The City of Des Moines issues this certificate of special recognition to the Grandview University's Viking wrestling team and head coach Nick Mitchell. Grandview Wrestling continued to rewrite the wrestling record book as the program won an unprecedented 8th straight team title, the 2019 NAIA National Championships. Grandview, fueled by 12 All-Americans and 2 individual national champions, scored 219 team points. The margin of victory between the Vikings and the runner-up was 134 points. That didn't sound like much competition, Coach. Unbelievable. At any rate, the victory makes the Vikings the second program in collegiate wrestling history to win 8 straight team titles. joining NCAA Division I, University of Iowa's 9 straight from 1978 to 1986. Now, I want to say that we expect and hope that you and this team are back here again next year, so we are looking forward. All right. In 2018-19, the Vikings experienced another extraordinary season, both on and off the mat. Grandview led the nation at the Dakota Tonics, is that what it is? NAIA, okay. Tektronix Scholar Athletes with 5 individuals. They went 14-0 in dual action, claimed their 8th straight NWCA multi-divisional national dual title, and took home its 4th straight Heart of America Athletic Conference Wrestling Championship. Head coach Nick Mitchell earned the Heart of America Athlete Conference Coach of the Year. Grandview is a strong educational institution that has been part of the east side of Des Moines for many years, and Grandview holds the #1 ranking for the 50th consecutive poll. This is the most for any institution since the start of 2000-2001 season. The last time Grandview was not ranked #1 was on October 17th, 2012. So on behalf of the City Council and with many thanks and accolades from the city and our residents of Des Moines, we hereby present this the 8th day of April 2019. And Coach and Mr. President, congratulations. Let's give them a great big hand. Great job, John.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right. Rob, thanks. Is David Chapman here? All right. David's not here yet? Okay. Abby? Abby, come on up. Abby Barrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. We are here to have some recognition for the National Boys and Girls Clubs, and let's talk about Clubs Week in Des Moines, Iowa.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, and thank you to the City Council for allowing us to be here today. My name is Abby Barrow. I'm with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Iowa, and we serve over 2,000 kids and teens here in the Des Moines area among 5 different club sites. So what we do is provide a safe, supportive place for kids to be anytime they're not in school. That means every day after school, that means all day during the summer, and during breaks as well. So we're providing structured programs that ensure our kids can reach academic success, they can live a healthy lifestyle, and they can have strong character. And all of those things will help our kids become the future leaders of our Des Moines community and hopefully, be right here someday soon. So it is, as the mayor said, National Boys and Girls Club Week, and it's the perfect week just to celebrate the success of our club members, celebrate all that they do, and how the Boys and Girls Clubs helps them get there. We are also in the midst of a capital campaign right now to help grow and expand our footprint across the neighborhood and the community and make sure that we serve all the kids who need us in Des Moines and can be there to provide them great futures. So thank you so much.
So we have a special proclamation, and it reads as follows. The young people of Des Moines are tomorrow's leaders. And whereas many young people need professional youth services to help them achieve their full potential, and there are 5 boys and girls clubs in Des Moines that serve more than 1,900 young people annually. And whereas boys and girls clubs instill young people with self-confidence to believe they can succeed at anything they put their mind to and stand at the forefront of efforts in the areas of academic success, healthy lifestyles, and character development. And whereas boys and girls clubs organizations in Des Moines help ensure young people have a safe, supportive place to spend time and will provide them with quality youth development programs. and whereas the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Iowa will celebrate National Boys and Girls Clubs Week with some 4,000 clubs and over 2 million more children and teens nationwide. Now, therefore, I, the mayor of the city of Des Moines, on behalf of our city council and the citizens of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim April 8th to 12th, 2019, as National Boys and Girls Clubs Week in Des Moines, Iowa, and encourage all of our citizens to join in recognizing and commending Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Iowa, providing the young people of our community with comprehensive and effective youth development services. Let's give them a great big hand. We'll get this out of the way. So one more quick thing. I had the pleasure and the honor of meeting with a number of folks downstairs who are part of the International Visitor Leadership Program. And just for the fun of it, could we have you all come up and spend just a moment in front? And I understand, Melania, you are going to make a couple of remarks and tell us kind of what the program is all about. And maybe if you guys wanted to, you could turn around and our council could ask you a whole bunch of questions and like they just did me downstairs, and tell what your program's about. But we're honored to have you all here, and they're making a trip. These folks are from around the world, and they've had the opportunity to visit a number of places here in the United States, and hopefully they'll find that Des Moines was the best. Step up.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everybody, for an extremely warm welcome here in Des Moines. So as Mayor just said, we are a group of international visitors. We came here based on a program which is organized, led by the U.S. Department of State, and paid gracefully by the U.S. Taxpayers. So thank you all for your dollar, for your contribution to, for having us here traveling across the United States for 3 weeks. We are all coming from different countries, from various continents. We're in fact just half of the entire group. The other half is currently in Michigan. We will be joining the rest of the group tomorrow in Boston to, let's say, finalize our program, and then next Saturday we're heading back home. Before we came to Des Moines, we spent a couple of days in Washington, D.C., after which we headed to Texas, and we spent a week there in San Antonio and Austin. So the idea was for us to learn about the government and the culture of the United States from various perspectives. And I have to say that really so far, the welcome in Des Moines has definitely been the best. This is the first place where we have actually met the mayor. We also met your chief at the Des Moines police department. So we have really had, we also had a meeting with the members of the Board of Supervisors of the Polk County. So really an extremely warm welcome. And I will just let my colleagues just say from which countries they are. I'm Milena and I come from Serbia, which is in Southeastern Europe.
I'm Oleg Vidiani from the Republic of Moldova.
Andrew Komba from Tanzania.
I'm Guadalupe. I'm from Argentina.
I'm Monica from Slovakia.
Hello, I'm Francis from the South Pacific, Papua New Guinea.
I'm Gilberto from Macau, China.
Let's give them all a great big hand. Okay, everybody, we're going to have you tighten up here so we can kind of get a photo that everybody's in. Got it?
Thank you. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions.
Okay, so I'm going to do a quick advertisement. We've got the Trash Bash coming up, so all of those, we're going to have 60 different teams out there picking up trash this year all around the city of Des Moines. Our city council is going to have our regular team out doing some work in and around the city of Des Moines. And last year, during this event, with all the teams that were out there, we picked up over 75,000 pounds of trash in and around the city, along the riverbanks, on the trails, everywhere. And so we want to thank all of our participants and partners for their participation. And hopefully we're going to do even more and do even better as we have more and more participation and enthusiastic teams from different organizations in and around the city of Des Moines. Ben, where are you? What's the day again?
April 19th, next Friday, 1 o'clock, we kick off all across the city.
All right, 1 o'clock next week, April 19th. Everybody get ready. It's a big event. Also, not that anybody's, don't want to over promote this, but the mayor's annual bike ride is coming up, and we want you all to participate and be down there. We're going to start this year at Principal Park. And so it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of see what is going on in and around our trail system and kind of spend a day taking a 20-mile bike ride and with a lot of your fellow citizens in and around the city of Des Moines. So that'll be the 20th, right, Ben?
Correct, 9 o'clock's the run or walk, you can do both, and then 10 o'clock the bike ride starts.
Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody will be there. Let's quickly, prior to the start of our council meeting, we're going to have a quick Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board meeting. This is April 8th, and I will quickly call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to take roll.
County.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Boson. Here. Gray.
Here.
Westergaard.
Here.
Mandelbaum.
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Our second item, could we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented and/or as amended?
I'll move.
It's moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Tonight, there's one other item on here. This is approving item 3, which is the annual agency plan for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019, to include the 2019 capital improvement grant, the public housing admissions and continued occupancy policy, and the family self-sufficiency action plan, and the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Administrative Plan. Board communication was 19-147. Anybody in the audience like to make any comments on this public housing agency plan? Any of our board members, any comments, thoughts?
I'd move it.
All right, it's been moved. Ask everybody to vote.
7 yes.
All right, that completes it with the exception, could we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
We sit adjourned. We're going to start our city council meeting. We've certainly honored a great wrestling team and the Boys and Girls Club and our international friends. I quickly want to also say a couple things and honor some of our best partners in public safety in the city of Des Moines and protecting our citizens day in and day out. And I see our chief is back here, and I want to thank him and all the members of the Des Moines Police Department, the men and the women that are out there every single day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, through thick and thin, snow, rain, heat, cold. They're out there helping take care of situations, whether it's a car accident or it's a call for questionable activity here or there, they're out there. We've seen pictures of them in the past, throwing their own safety kind of aside as they, jump up on a burning car and knock the windows out to get the occupants in it that's sitting on its side, and they do everything that they can. There was a fire just recently, and our people in blue were there not only trying to do what they could outside, but the mother was inside, had 3 children, and she actually dropped them out the window, and the Des Moines Police PD were there to catch them. A couple days later, working with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they arrested 13 people that were out doing some things that the FBI and Des Moines Police Department working together had decided was activity that could not continue any longer, and arrested people in one of the biggest drug gang busts that we've seen. So every single day they're out there, and I think that all of us ought to thank our Des Moines Police Department for all the work that they have done, and all the work that they continue to do, again, day in and day out, whether they're walking a beat on the street or whether they're in a police car and they're meeting the needs and protecting the interest of our citizens and visitors here in the city of Des Moines. And I want you to know that all of us up here, sitting up here, have worked with these individuals day in and day out, and they are out there serving the needs of our citizens and doing absolutely everything they can to protect their interests so that they can safely do. It doesn't matter their age, their gender, the color of their skin, their dress, their religion. We want everybody in the city of Des Moines to feel safe, and that's our team that helps us do it all day, every day. And I want to personally thank them, and quite frankly, Chief, I'm going to give you a big hand. So having done that, prior to the start of our meetings, we often have a quick message from one of our council members today. It's our own council member, Joe Gatto. Joe, would you like to have us stand up? Or?
Sure, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, those who would participate with us, we'd ask you to stand at this time.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you gave unto us today. We thank you for our country. We thank you for our government. And just be with my colleagues as they have needs, and just be with our staff. And we thank our staff for the hard work that they do. We thank our first responders, the Des Moines Police Department, Fire Department, for their role that they play in our lives to keep us safe, keep us well, and just be with all of us throughout the rest of this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
All right, let's begin the Des Moines City Council meeting for April 8th. I will ask the clerk to please take roll.
County,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Boson,
Here.
Gray,
Here.
Westergaard,
Here.
Mandelbaum,
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
I have a quorum.
Okay, item 2 is approving the agenda as presented or as amended. For those of you that are keeping track of this, consent item agenda, these are 3 through 39. Item 25 is corrected, it's roll call and council communication. 29 corrected, roll call and council communication. Other than that, there's no other items on here. Unless anybody has any, we could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Second item is again approving the consent agenda. These are items 3 through 39. Now, generally, we'll take these all as one separate vote unless somebody calls for an item to be pulled off the agenda for further discussion or clarification. It could be a member of our city council sitting up here or a member of the audience who would ask for that additional information. Tonight, those items again are items 3 through 39. Item 4N, Councilmember Gray wishes to speak. Item 6A to D, Councilmember Gray wishes to speak. And item 29, Councilmembers Gatto and Mandelbaum wish to speak. Are there any other items that anybody would like to have pulled off for further discussion? Again, these are items 3 through 39. Any others?
Mayor, I'll move it. I thought I had registered a few. I would like to be a no vote on 4F, and I would like to also speak on 29. It's already been pulled off, but add my name to people. Speak on it, thank you.
Okay.
And
All
I'll
right.
move it.
Could we have a motion for the balance?
He moved it.
7 yes.
All right, that takes us to 4N. These are licenses and permits for is approving the alcoholic beverage license applications for the following. 4N is Peggy's Tavern. This is an outdoor service application and a temporary in conjunction with the Drake Relays, which will be April 22nd to 28th. Councilmember Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the reason I pulled this off is because there is another university here in Des Moines. It's over on the west side, and it is the Blue University, but this is an open invitation to anybody that's listening or out here in the audience. America's Classic is going to be taking place in 2 weeks. One of the best track and field endeavors you've ever seen in the world. World-class athletes being in there, pole vaulters. This is the kind of thing that really brings a lot of attention to Des Moines. It's a lot of family-friendly activities taking place, and I know it's going to be tough driving through Drake area, but if you get a chance, stop out and see all the excitement. It's going to be quite a show for everybody. So I'm going to move item 4N.
Seven yes.
All right, the next item is public improvements, item 6, which is ordering construction of the following. A, 2019 HMA residential paving program receiving bids 4/23 of 19 and setting the date of hearing of 5/20 of 19. The engineer's estimate is $1,060,000. Council communication number 19-153. B is the near West Side Sewer Separation Phase 3, receiving bids 4/23 and setting the date of the hearing at 5/6 of 19. The engineer's estimate on that work is $6,800,000. Council communication number 19-159. And C is Macokota Drive sewer box replacement, receiving the bids 4/23 of 19 and setting the date of hearing for 5/20 of 19. The engineer's estimate for that work is $7,500,000. Council communication number 19-157. And D is the Merle Hay Road and Hickman Road intersection improvements, receiving bids 4/23 and setting date of hearing of 5/20 of 19. The engineer's estimate $650,000. Council communication number 19-158. And under that, D1 is approving the execution of the Iowa Department of Transportation IDOT agreement. Council communication number 19-151. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll be brief. I just want to let everybody know, I want to thank my fellow council members for all the work that they've done on this, but we got 7 projects on the resurfacing that's going to take place. I appreciate all your leftovers and cast-offs. We'll make it work over in Ward 1. I sure appreciate you guys' help. On B, near West Side Sewer Separation, we are working in conjunction with Drake to do a beautification on this. Couldn't be at a better time, and this is going to be, hopefully we can get these sewer separation projects sunsetted somewhere down the road. On C, Macokota Drive, this couldn't come at a better time since we had a partial collapse down there over the weekend, so we've been working on that, and $7.5 million, that's going to go a long way to getting us out of the swamp down there. Finally, on D, didn't lay my concerns about this intersection just being partially done. I wanted to make sure that we left the door open because, as I've stated many years ago and a couple months ago, this is the worst designed intersection in the entire city of Des Moines, and unfortunately, it's a gateway from the west coming into our fine city. So If there are some changes that have to be made, like a turning lane here and there, I would appreciate the opportunity that we could do a change order on it. I'm still talking with engineering on that, but to get this thing moving forward, because this does include the partial that's right in front of the new Hy-Vee that's going in on there, I'm going to make sure that that goes forward today. So I'm going to move item 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D, and D1.
All right, it's been moved. Any other comments?
I appreciate Bill pulling these off. I hope that all of us are a broken record over the next couple of years, but we went out to the citizens and said, you know, have our backs by giving us some more resources through the sales tax, and we'll double down and go quicker on sewer repair and street repair. Tonight, we're doing, I think, $18 million worth of streets or sewer repair, and almost $15 million worth of sewer, which I could say sewer, or I could say flood prevention work around the city. And so that flood prevention work is what everybody's counting on us to do. So I'm really proud you moved that bill and that these are ready to go.
And one thing I'd like to remind the city manager, I'd like to make sure that when we start doing this work, we put a sign out to let everybody know this is the result of your 1 cent sales tax. We're going to show the people that we mean what we say, and we're going to put the money to work where it's needed the most. So if we could make sure we keep that in mind as we go forward.
7 yes.
All right, this takes us to item 29. Item 29 is approving a preliminary terms of an urban renewal development agreement with Swaps Cash LLC, Lincoln, and Lisa McIlvery, members for the construction of a new 6-story, 112-room Element Hotel project at 304 East Walnut Street, Council Communication Number 19-166. Joe or
It's his ward.
Josh?
Go first.
Go ahead. You guys can go.
I was last at the party.
Okay. Go ahead, Josh, if you'd like. I'm going to move it. I know you're not going to move it, so you go ahead and you can have your comments, and we'll roll through it.
Yeah, I'm not going to move it, and I plan on voting no, and wanted to just explain that vote very briefly, so folks have the context. You know, one of the things I've got questions on, and I'm still working to understand, is what our long-term vision for hotels in Des Moines is, and how long we need to continue to provide incentives for hotels. And I've got questions of that. It's of particular importance when we have the relationship that we do with the Iowa Event Center Hotel. And I think we have a lot of supply, particularly in downtown Des Moines, and we continue to add supply. I'm not opposed to adding additional supply, but in that type of situation, I have questions on whether or not we need to continue to provide incentives. And this particular project, it's particularly interesting and caught my attention in part because it's the same type of hotel. It's an extended stay hotel that is near, approximately a block away from another extended stay hotel built by the same developer. And that previous one was just built a couple years ago, and they did not have any incentives in building that hotel. So it made me wonder, well, why would we need incentives for this one? And when I had an opportunity to meet with the developer, I asked that question, and very much in large part based on the answer I got, I can't support it in this case. And what he told me is, he said, I didn't know to ask last time. And he was able to build a very similar hotel in a similar part of town without incentives. And there are a lot of good parts about this project, and I'm more than happy to see it move forward and go through, but I'm not at a point where I think that the incentives are necessary. And so I wanted to explain that, wanted to explain my no vote. You know, I voted for other hotel projects in downtown. Part of it, I supported the Midland, which takes a historic building that had low occupancy and brings life back to that building. It supported the Fairfield Inn, which takes a building that had been a nonprofit and converts it and adds a complementary piece to our entire convention complex. And I've supported the Home to Suites on University right across from Drake. If there are projects that are unique and add value and there's a good case for the incentives, I'm more than happy to support them in the future. But in this particular case, I don't feel I can vote for it, and wanted to explain that so folks knew why that.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate a lot about what you're saying. I think some of the things that you said could be, could cut both ways. The block and the single development that came before us that included the hotel got significant tax increment financing and support. And so while the developer himself of the hotel may not have gotten it, the development did get it, and pretty substantially. I'm going to vote for it, although I'd say for 7 or 8 years, I've been trying to figure out what we should be doing about hotels long-term as well. The staff helped me, so I brought one for everybody, but it's a little summary, and if anybody else really wants one, I have one. I don't think that we've probably capped out our demand, and in this case, you know who I would rely on before anybody else? The guy that owns the extended stay hotel across the street. If he doesn't think the demand is capped out, he wouldn't be building one across the street and spending millions of his own money to get that done. The issue for hotels downtown and around the community is what kind of incentives should we get? And I've kind of had a multi-week back and forth with our economic development staff, and first off, tried to get a handle on what's been the recent history for those. I put it in graph form and tried to share with you what's been happening. Josh pointed out a few things that I agree with. When a hotel development is, as a unique use, let's put hotels away from a new company moving to downtown Des Moines, but a hotel use, if they build their own parking, if they have a historic rehab of a building, if they build in commercial, so there's additional assets for the neighborhoods, I would raise the incentives for it because I think it's better for our community. And in this case, this project does those two really expensive ones, which are to put parking in it and to put commercial in there so it benefits the East Village and the patrons and the residents there. And so on this, 2 months ago, I was probably a no vote. Big wrestling night, Lincoln is here, we just recognized Grandview. I looked at his plans, the extra investment that he was making, the changes that he had to make that drove higher costs because, he didn't get his height that he first requested. I applaud the Zoning Board of Adjustment for their decision, but it drives a bigger gap in the project. And so what I would say, as you look at this, is we've worked our way down to 10 years of 80%. If you go back and you look at even the Iowa Event Center Hotel, it was 100% for 20 years, plus an additional 14 million, plus additional money on top of that that was at risk. And so I would say that we've gradually reduced where we're at, and we need to do it further and only have a few limited exceptions for some cap on the incentive that we would give through TIF. So it'd be like, here's what we're going to do. If you embed parking, you could get a little bit more. If you embedded commercial that benefited the neighborhood, you could do a little bit more. If it was a historic rehab, maybe you could get a little bit more. But other than that, we have a firm cap, and that's what I'd like to see. I think this can be a really, really great project. I think our business community especially is really booming downtown, and they like the extended stay nature of a hotel offering. It doesn't compete with the other projects that are in the pipeline. So I feel good about it. I do have two other things that I'd like to say. I mentioned the hotel development. The other things that I've learned through this, and there is some notes in there in the blue letter, and that has to do with construction hours. You know, in downtown, we say that we have to limit construction hours. I think everybody has to be done working by 11. That rule, I think, was written before I got on the council and before 90% of the people that live downtown are there now. And I just don't think that that's a reasonable expectation that somebody would invest big in downtown and might have to put up with construction noise across the street or on the same block until 11 o'clock at night. And so the staff has worked out an agreement on this project because we have an incentive in it, but I'd like to refer that issue to the manager's office to tighten that up. And, you know, it affects both sides of downtown, I think, and I'd like to see that. The other thing is, we've debated over time, and the legislature slapped our hands a couple of times over how do we ensure that these projects are getting done with high-quality contractors, subcontractors, and workers themselves. And we've gone at it a number of different times. One of the things that strikes me is that when we have city money in it, our taxpayers' money in it, we ought to ensure that the people that are working on the job site are actually employees of the contractors they're working for. They shouldn't be 1099 or independent contractors. And, you know, if you'll, without going into a lot of detail, my day job at the Better Business Bureau, we see a lot of problems in home improvement and other where the contractor wants to, you know, say, well, that's not my fault. I had a contractor that did that work. And the owner and the neighbors had no idea that, and sometimes the contractor didn't know that he was liable for the work he was doing. Plus, it allows contractors to skirt, you know, making sure that they have health care, making sure that they're paying their fair share on taxes and all the other employment laws. So to me, long-term, I'd like to ensure that any project that gets economic development assistance, we have a policy in place that requires the workers at that site with those dollars to be employees of the people they're working for. And I would guess most people that we represent would be surprised that that's not our rule now. So I'd like to make sure as it comes back for final development agreement, there's some language in the blue letter about this, but I'd like to see it a lot more refined. There's obviously some programs out there that are enormously burdensome on our staff to monitor. Maybe there's a way we can design this where it limits the burden on both the developer and the city, but those are three things that I learned that I think we can improve both on this project and future projects as we look at hotel development downtown. So, sorry, Mayor, I took a long time.
Yeah, you did. That's
It's okay. He said everything I needed to say. It was great. First of all, thank you both for your thoughts. Lincoln, I appreciate you coming down. I met with you at length. We've had many discussions. It took me a while to get here.
The exciting part's going to come here shortly. You guys are leaving.
That's right. You know, I want to applaud Aaron and Matt for getting me where I need to be with this and in this project and showing me this is the best use for that tight of spot to do the best for our city. And you are going into competition with your own hotel. And if you think that you're going to invest your dollars like you are, then who am I to say that, you know, that that's the wrong thing to do? So I applaud your consistently not giving up and pushing it and getting it to where it needs to be. I'm glad that we corrected the roll call because we had discussion that it wouldn't start until September, and then on the roll call it was different. So that I see that that's been corrected, and I too would like to. Part of my motion, I believe, Scott, I would like for you to at least with this project and going forward with any type of economic incentive, I believe that 80% of anyone working on the project is being paid by a W-2, subcontractors, things like that. And I think that's what the reference is for federal and state laws that you have in the blue letter, and I appreciate staff working on that. And I know there has to be a little bit more work that we're going to need to do, just who's going to monitor it, how we're going to do that. But I'm sure when it comes back to this project, and I know that your contractors met with folks around town and is agreeable upon that, and you are, and I appreciate that. And, you know, I'd like to see this go forward with all projects. So that'll be part of the motion, and I will move item 29.
If I could, Mayor, that addition, I mean, I'm very much supportive of, and I want to let folks know that I sure support that and appreciate the work that's gone into that, and I appreciate that direction and the comments that everyone made.
If I can add something, Mayor, there was you know, out on the northwest side, we've got 3 new hotels going up that have been up on the south side of Interstate 80 near Northwest 86th Street, obviously drawing from the core that we're bringing into Des Moines. And a few years ago, and Lincoln will probably remember better than I, but Des Moines hosted the NCAA wrestling tournaments. And my family does a lot with the wrestling community, and we talked to a lot of the wrestlers and where they were staying. People were staying as far away as DeSoto to go watch NCAA wrestling. That's quite a stint away from here. And so all the hotel, motel, all the tax money, all of the entertainment money went away. So I don't think we're at a point where I'm too concerned about oversaturation of market rooms. So, but I do agree with what Chris and Joe and Josh are concerned about. There will be a limit, but right now let's make sure we keep as much of that business coming in to good old Des Moines, Iowa, and keep it going forward. Those are my thoughts.
Let me say in kind of conclusion, and I want to thank Lincoln for being down here and continuing to have some confidence in Des Moines, Iowa. We have some confidence as well, and I think we're showing you some confidence here. I don't disagree with Josh that maybe at some moment here soon we ought to look at the overall incentive programs. These incentives are available and have been available, and if we're going to change them, we ought to do it without a bunch of things sitting on the table in front of us and look at good policy moving forward. I just as an aside, I met Lincoln many years ago with an old coach that he used to know, Mr. Gable. And Dan and I have known each other a little while. And not long ago, we were talking here in Des Moines as he was had sort of a reading and discussion with some of our Des Moines people about wrestling as a life, and in the book that he wrote. So thank you for keeping Dan engaged and involved, and thank you for showing your support for Des Moines.
6 yes, 1 no.
Takes us, I think we are done. I just want to, for those that are watching, I'm not going to pull them, but on the agenda tonight, sort of in support of some of the things that we talked about doing if the local option passed. Those of you who are looking, item 30 is a blighted property rehabilitation. We're trying to look at blighted properties around this city and look at opportunities to rehab them and bring them back and do what we can to save some of those that are in a condition that are people willing to make the investment to do it. And I noted that on item 33, those are abatements. Here's 7 properties that are really in dire straits, and something needs to happen, and we've showed them to be public nuisances, and we're moving forward to do that. In the past, we've been able to deal with about, what do we say, Council?
10 to 15
of these a year, and now we're going to start dealing with them much more expeditiously and moving it forward. So those of you that are watching this, keep tuned. We're going to keep doing what we said we were going to do, and we're going to start moving this forward.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could add to that, that's a great point. I would like, 'cause, some of the neighborhood meetings that I've already hit, the first thing they're asking is, what have we started to move forward to, like on Blitz on Blight, where are we going to start seeing that progress made? Because the ones that we're working on now are within what we had with the old CIP. So I think any project that we have that we can identify is moving forward because of the 1 cent sales tax. I would like to take that back to the neighborhood people and let them know, here's your tax money at work.
So we'll have a conversation about that very topic on April 24th.
Thank you, Bill, for suggesting
that. Very nice.
And knowing that we did 10 to 15 last year, we've already got 7 on here plus 1 at 8, so yeah.
I was going to say, that was one of the questions I asked, if we could get it, and which on the 24th is like an update, like whether it be quarterly, monthly. So, because I know some of these, we do this now, but it could take how long? So that we can kind of get a status of what's really coming down.
Yep.
And when.
Okay. All right, that completes our consent agenda, and since we're 22 minutes past the hour, we need to move straight to the hearings. Our first hearing item is item 42. Item 42 is on the intent to commence a public improvement project to construct the East Douglas Avenue widening, East 42nd Street to East 56th Street project, and to authorize acquisition of the necessary property interests, including agricultural land, for the project. Council Communication number 19-161. It is a hearing. We will open it. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this item? Douglas Avenue widening. Seeing none? Council?
I would move to adopt item 42, and I'm glad to see that it's moving forward, and it's exciting. It's going to allow people that, we're going to have sidewalks on one side of the street, but they can move about and get from the far east, northeast side right into the city. So I'll move that.
Good project, Linda. Good work.
Thanks.
You guys gonna vote?
I already did. 7 yes.
Item 43. Item 43 is on the vacation of the north-south alley right-of-way located west of and adjoining 1014 through 1036 Southeast 9th Street for the Southeast 9th Street Stormwater Pump Station Project. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. And here again, this is something that we need to do and move forward on our infrastructure improvements. We'll open the hearing and see if there's anyone here to speak to this item.
I see none, Mr. Mayor. I'll move 43, 43A, and waive the second and third reading.
Seven yes.
All right. Good project moving forward. Item 44, on the conveyance of city-owned property located at 1601 County Line Road to the Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority, originally acquired for the Southern Tier Interceptor Pump Station and Equalization Basin Phase 10 Segment 2 project, now known as the Highland Hills Pump Station and Equalization Basin. Let's open the hearing on this. Again, a wastewater reclamation work on a pump station. Anyone here to speak to this item?
Seeing no one, Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 44.
Go.
7 yes.
And again, this is more work to hopefully mitigate some of the concerns that people have regarding water in the sewers and getting them out so that we can hopefully mitigate some of the potential damage to the area. Item 45 is on the request from AMT Associates LLC, is the owner and represented by Lance Smith, officer, to rezone property located at 1315 East Broadway Avenue from limited M1 light industrial to a revised limited M1 light industrial to remove the restriction from ordinance number 14,573, that the perimeter of outdoor storage areas shall be enclosed by 100% opaque wood or masonry fence to allow the use of a chain link fence with vinyl slats for an opaque screen fence material for outdoor storage. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the applicant and requires 6 votes. Let's go ahead and open the hearing on this item regarding property at 1315 East Broadway. Anybody?
You're representing Lance.
Okay. You would step up, give us your name and address, sir.
Well, I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council for considering this. I'm Thad Long with SVPA Architects from 1466 28th Street in West Des Moines. I got the chance to work with Lance on his first project that we did almost 10 years ago, and the addition, he asked me to be here to represent him if there's any questions. Basically, what he's asking is to take the fence that he had behind his building before and moving it back for a 6,000 square foot addition because his business is thriving and prospering. So he's basically taking the same exact fence and sliding it back farther on the property. So any questions, I'm more than willing to answer.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Thad? Anybody? Thad, thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
With that, I will move item 45, 45A, and B.
Seven yes.
Item 46, these are items regarding a request from DDX Worldwide Cargo, Inc., owner represented by Juan Gallman, is the officer for property at 2017 Capitol Avenue to allow rezoning and expansion of existing warehouse and distribution center use and operation at the adjoining business at 2000 East Walnut Street. A is to amend the existing planned DSM, creating our tomorrow planned future land use designation from low-density residential to industrial. B is a hearing on the rezoning of the property from R160, one-family low-density residential, to limited M1 light industrial. C is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and D is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the applicant, and again, it requires 6 votes. Is there anybody here to speak to this item? 2017 Capitol, yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Rick Baumover with Bishop Engineering, representing the applicant. He's in agreement with the P&Z requirements and asks for your approval of this rezoning, and happy to answer any questions if there may be any.
So they will be concreting everywhere or asphalt where the semis are sitting, so it won't be
correct
the muddy mess that we've got now.
Depending upon whether it's parking or storage, it'll be some kind of surfacing underneath it, not earth.
For both, though, for parking and for storage, or is it one or the other?
Well, for storage, it's can be asphalt millings, dustless, but it won't be earth.
What's on
But
there?
for
What do you
parking-
consider now what you have?
I would think, I don't know what's there now. Now it's earth and
Okay.
rock and
Okay.
miscellaneous.
Well,
all
then,
kinds of
yeah,
stuff. No,
it'll
he
be-
intends to clean it up, put a fence around it, get it looking nice.
Excellent, because the outside of the building looks really nice. I drove by it yesterday,
Yeah.
and it looks really nice, so that's exactly what it needs. So I would
Okay.
be happy to support that. I don't know if anyone else has any other comments.
I think there was somewhere it was going to be set back 25 feet. Did that go through too?
Yes, that's part of the
Okay, so that,
recommendation.
because it's right up against houses.
The eastern lot line.
Yes, eastern lot line abuts an existing
Okay.
residence, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
Thank you, Rick.
I will move item 46, A, B, C, and D. Mr. Mayor.
Seven yes.
Item 47 is on a request from Savannah Homes, Inc. to rezone property at 4320 East 46th Street from A1 agricultural to R160, one-family low-density residential, to allow single-family residential development and to continue to June 3rd of 2019 at 5 p.m. Essentially, this is a request to continue this hearing. Is there anybody here who'd like to make comment this evening? Seeing none?
I will move that item to continue until June 30th, and
June
thank you,
3rd.
Mike. To
June
June
3rd.
3rd, yeah, June 3rd. And thanks, Mike Ledwig, for working with the developer. I know that you and he have had some conversations, so thank you.
Seven yes.
Item 48 is on a city-initiated request to rename a segment of East Douglas Avenue to Kennedy Drive for a segment which is located between Hubble Avenue and a point 650 feet to the west as part of the realignment of East Douglas Avenue. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the Community Development Director and requires 6 votes. Item 48, let's open it and see if there's anyone here to speak to this item. Anybody? Seeing none? Council?
Then I would like to move item 48A. I would like to, can we waive the next 2 readings?
That's
First-
A.
That's B.
48A and B.
48A and B, yes. Thank you.
Connie?
I do, sorry.
There's
Supposed to-
48B.
Can't
Seven yes.
register enough.
Item 49 is on the 2019 parking garage repair program, a resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Golf Acquisition Group LLC, doing business as Golf Construction. Thomas Chacos, President, $1,490,031.15. Council Communication Number 19-154. A is approving the contract and the bond and permission to sublet. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Item 49 regarding the parking garage repair program. Anybody? Okay, seeing none. Council?
I'll move 49, 49A.
I have one comment to make. I'll vote for this and
Get your change out.
get my 15 cents worth of it. But one thing I'd like to find out on this, there's only $6,000 difference between the low bid and the next bid. The low bid's from Hammond, Indiana, and a local group was in second. And so we've had this discussion about 1099ing some of the workers. Do we have any assurance that we have that kind of capability, or are we just trusting them to get it done with salaried workers that are employed by them? Can anybody answer that? Do we know? No answer. We don't know? We can fix that soon, Bill. Thank you. But I'd hate to see a local company get shut out for what we were discussing right now.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, Steve Naper, City Engineering. So to answer your question, we don't check payroll or have contractors provide certified payroll and check who's paying the workers. In terms of the low bidder, a close bid is considered really a good bid for a contractor, and to be honest, the second place bidder, while they put on their title West Des Moines, if you look up their parent company, they're actually from St. Louis. And so really actually all the bidders for this type of work were essentially from out of town. So,
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. I think I would like to at least get an update of if we're going to be running into a bunch of 1099s on this project for our own information, if there's a way to find out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we delay it? until we find out.
I'll defer to Joe.
You're deferring to me? No.
He wanted to see about, wanted to ask about delaying it.
I can pull my motion if that's what you guys want to do, or I don't have any.
I would suggest you ask after that, if you
Okay.
would consider that,
Okay.
to accept
That's
the bid and then find out what information you want to have.
Well, I just want to make sure we're going to be addressing this going forward.
That was part of what we talked about. This doesn't give them any money.
7 yes.
You don't really have any mechanism to make changes, so it would be a voluntary rule.
Okay, yeah, and I'm good with that.
Item 50, on the Des Moines River Regional Trail Phase 2 Resolution improving the plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate designating the lowest responsible bidder as Peterson Contractors, Inc., Cordell Peterson, President, $1,813,318.59. Council Communication Number 19-165, A is approving the contract and bond and permission to sublet, and B is naming of the South Des Moines River Trail as the Carl Voss Multi-Use Recreational Trail. Let's go ahead and open the hearing on this item. Is there anyone here to speak to this item 50 or 50A or 50B? Seeing no one?
Mr. Mayor, just a couple comments if you'd like me to.
Sure.
So first of all, this is a very important part of our trail system. And this will connect, if people don't know, it will connect from where the baseball and soccer field is to Easter Lake, which is now full and open. So you'll be able to get, the folks at Easter Lake will be able to get downtown and all the way basically to the Trestle Bridge by this connectivity. Secondly, our Parks Department, Ben Page and his staff, securing the funds, they had over 91% of the funds is from not coming out of our pocket or taxpayer dollars. So, what was it, 1.6 million?
Yeah.
Coming from funds that we only had to put up $165,000, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So remarkable work of building a trail that length and doing the connectivity that we're going to have, and it's outstanding. Secondly, Mr. Voss is in the audience, and I appreciate all of his work. Carl and I don't always agree upon everything. He'll tell you we probably butt heads more than anyone, but you know what? I always listen to him. He always listens to me, and we always, whether we agree to disagree sometimes, or you know what? Maybe I'll change his mind or he'll change my mind. And so I appreciate the knowledge that he's given to me about biking and those type of things. And I think it's wonderful that the advocate that you've been for the biking community, that we're able to name this trail in your honor, that will be here forever. And that will start basically on Scott Street all the way to Easter Lake. So thank you for what your contributions to the city and what you've done. So I appreciate that. Anyone else?
I wanted to add, and Joe, you were kind to recognize Ben and everybody. I think all of us probably noticed the 90+% of grants and outside funds that are paying for this, and it's a really important connection. I think it's great. It's also great that you're accomplishing this for the Fourth Ward, because up until now, I thought things were sliding since Carl was in the role of the Fourth Ward council person. Carl is one of the amazing citizens we have, and I look around at some of the things that have happened. Big, long lists of people that contributed or volunteered for stuff, but when you get close to those projects, you know that it wouldn't have happened without Carl. And so I think this is outstanding, Joe. Good job on the honor for Carl.
I concur, I agree.
I will
I do
move.
too.
Oh,
No, I was just going to say, he's a good friend. He's done more for biking probably and brought an awareness of you should be out on a bike. Right, Carl?
Well, figure we should name it by someone that can see it and use it than someone that's gone. So I think that's a good thing. So I will move 50, A and B.
And get out there for the mayor's bike ride, right, Carl?
Maybe you can do it on this trail when it's done.
7 yes.
Yeah, when the trail gets done, we can go on the trail.
Item 51, on Southeast 30th and Scott Avenue Detention Basin Resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract documents, and engineer's estimate designating the lowest responsible bidder as Elder Corporation Jared R. Elder II, President, $209,500. Council Communication Number 19-160. A is approving the contract and the bond. Let's go ahead and open the hearing. Is anybody here to speak to this item? Detention Basin, Southeast 30th and Scott.
I see none, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to our staff. Steve, good job by your team getting this done. I know it's, we need to get this moving so we can get the development in there. So I will move 51 and 51A.
And more work to try to mitigate any future problems.
Yeah, I think it was
for
just going
everybody,
into a sinkhole, wasn't it, Steve, right? As it goes now, it just, not sure where it goes right now.
And I noticed they didn't have 59 cents at the end of it either, so I applaud them for that.
Yeah.
7 yes.
Takes us to item 52. Item 52 is on the East First and Market Street stormwater pump stations. Reject all the bids and close the hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract documents, and engineer's estimate. One bid was received, and it was way over the estimate, so council communication number 19-156. Anyone here to speak to this item?
Just question, Mr. Mayor, do we now go back and group it together? And you don't have to come up, Steve, you can just get.
Re-engineer it, actually, or a design change is what we're, design alternatives.
Okay, all right. And we're going to be okay not doing anything with it until we re-engineer it?
It's going to need to be, how quickly are we thinking that re-engineering? Sorry.
He's getting his exercise. Sorry.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, Steve Neighbor, City Engineering. So in terms of our timeframe, you are correct. We are going back and looking at different alternatives, but we are also, which would take considerable time. In other words, it would probably be delaying the project a good somewhere between 6 months and a year, to be honest. But we're working with Public Works staff to figure out if there's some interim measures to keep the pump station functioning. But we think this is the best route to go with, as we dove into it more. The contamination is proven to be much more costly than anticipated to deal with. So moving it to another site could certainly be a much better finished product environmentally and economically. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But we're fine safety-wise?
Yeah, we're absolutely, yeah. We're fine safety-wise. It's just maybe there could be some interim things to kind of keep the existing pump station afloat. And that could be things as maybe a backup pump that could be used and maybe used in a newer station or somewhere else as well. So.
Okay.
Yep.
I will move item 52.
Seven yes.
All right, that completes the hearings. It's 5:45. Takes us back to item 40. Item 40 is amending Chapter 30 of the Municipal Code regarding applications for painting house numbers on curbs and pawnbrokers in conjunction with the new intergov permitting and licensing system, Council Communication number 19-141. Is there anyone here to speak to this item?
I'll move it. Guy that once painted numbers on curbs to pay for.
7 yes.
I did.
Item 41 is on items regarding wireless telecommunications facilities. A is the first consideration of the ordinance amending Chapter 102 of the Municipal Code regarding small wireless facility permits. B is the final consideration of the ordinance above the waivers requested by the city manager and requires 6 votes. And C is the approval of wireless telecommunications facility policy. Let's go ahead and open it up and see if there's anybody who would like to speak to any of these. This seems to be a never-ending subject. Anybody? Council? Any comments? Mr. Manager, you have any good words of advice? Talking to us about the facility policy?
No, I think it's all in the.
I'll move it.
Information.
Okay.
For all of them.
41A, B, and C?
Yes.
Seven yes.
All right, that takes us to one additional item. It's an extra item, and it was added after 5 p.m. on Tuesday preceding the council meeting and have been included on the amended agenda by the city clerk with the sponsorship of the mayor or a council member who shall deem the item sufficient urgency to warrant immediate council action. Said statement of urgency from the city manager and/or appropriate department director shall be placed on file with the city clerk. So this item is approving a city council-initiated vacation of an alley right-of-way in the vicinity of Southeast 10th Street, Southeast 11th Street, Scott Avenue, and Shaw Street, and the sponsor is Councilmember Gatto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Ikra, she must have just got a phone call, but she had came down. One of the nicest ladies that I probably have talked to in a very long time. I mean, she's got a beautiful house on Scott Street, and we've got a dilapidated, I don't know if you want to call it an alley, I'm not really sure what it is, but thank you to Scott and your team and Phil Wagaman and the staff for putting this together so quickly. She's willing to clean it up, pave it, have additional parking, maybe even build a garage. It was a Habitat Humanity home, brand-new home that was built down there, and so I mean, I wanted to thank her because every time I would go to her house, she wanted to feed me something, and I was like, I can't eat anything right now. So I will move extra item 1 and get this thing moving forward.
7 yes.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I want to thank everybody for coming, and again, to our public safety people, police, fire, thank you for the work you do every day, and we'll continue all of our efforts to try to support your efforts and keep up the great work, and that to the rest of our staff as well. We appreciate the work that you've done, as Joe just pointed out, quick turnarounds on some quick requests to try to meet the needs of our citizens. So that's what we're trying to do every day. Thank you all for doing what you do. This meeting's adjourned.